Sylvester Stallone, the iconic actor known for his roles in Rocky and Rambo, has long been a symbol of resilience and determination in the face of adversity. But recently, a moment inside a small church stunned everyone present and sent ripples through religious communities worldwide. It wasn't about his fame or past glory. What unfolded that day was a deeply personal, profoundly moving experience that transcended celebrity culture. It was a moment of faith, redemption, and the unshakable human spirit. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The church, nestled in a quiet neighborhood far from the glitz of Hollywood, was a humble sanctuary known for its welcoming and non-judgmental congregation. Stallone, who had reportedly been attending services there intermittently for a few months, had always kept a low profile during visits. Clad in simple attire that starkly contrasted with the star-studded image the world knew, he would sit in the back pew, often unnoticed, listening intently to the sermons. For those who recognized him, it was clear he wasn't there for appearances but for something deeper, something real. On the particular Sunday in question, the church was filled with its usual congregation: families, elderly couples, young people seeking guidance, and those burdened by life's challenges. The pastor, a compassionate man with a gift for connecting with his audience, delivered a sermon on forgiveness and second chances. His words were powerful, yet they struck an even more profound chord that day, as they seemed to resonate uniquely with Stallone. Little did anyone know, a storm of emotions was brewing within the actor. Midway through the service, as the choir sang a hauntingly beautiful hymn, Stallone rose from his seat. At first, it seemed like a casual act, perhaps to stretch or find a better position. But instead of sitting back down, he began walking toward the altar. His movements were deliberate yet hesitant, as if he were fighting an internal battle. The congregation, curious but respectful, watched in silence. It was rare for anyone to approach the altar mid-service unless called upon, and the sight of Stallone, a man who had portrayed larger-than-life characters, doing so seemed surreal. When he reached the altar, Stallone turned to face the congregation. His expression was a mix of vulnerability and determination, a stark departure from the hardened personas he often played on screen. He paused for a moment, took a deep breath, and began to speak. His voice, though deep and familiar, trembled with emotion. "I've spent my life playing heroes," he began, his words echoing in the stillness of the church. "But the truth is, I've struggled to be one in real life. I've made mistakes that hurt the people I love and brought shame to myself. I've carried the weight of those mistakes for years, and I've been too proud to ask for forgiveness." The congregation was riveted. Stallone went on to share deeply personal experiences. Stories of estranged relationships, battles with addiction, and the immense pressure of living up to his own mythos. He spoke of how fame and fortune, while dazzling, had often left him feeling empty and disconnected. It was a confession so raw and unfiltered that many in the audience found themselves moved to tears. Here was a man who, despite his success, was laying bare his soul in search of peace. What shocked the congregation even more was when Stallone began to talk about his faith journey. He revealed that he had been raised in a Catholic household, but had drifted away from religion in his adult years, seduced by the distractions of Hollywood and a fast-paced lifestyle. Yet, in recent years, a series of personal losses and health scares had forced him to confront his mortality. It was during one of these moments of crisis that he found himself praying, not for fame, not for money, but for clarity and strength. He described feeling a presence, a sense of being guided back to something he had long forgotten. "It wasn't lightning and thunder," he said, his voice breaking. "It was a whisper, a nudge, something telling me, 'You're not alone. You've never been alone.'" By this point, the atmosphere in the church was electric. People leaned forward in their seats, hanging onto his every word. Stallone then turned to the pastor and asked if he could be baptized again, as a symbol of his renewed faith and commitment to God. The pastor, visibly moved, nodded and invited him to step forward. What followed was a moment of pure grace. Stallone knelt at the altar, and the pastor began the baptismal rite. As the water was poured over Stallone's head, the congregation broke into spontaneous applause. Some wept openly, others joined hands in prayer, and a few even began singing the hymn that had been playing earlier. It was a moment of unity, of shared humanity, and it transcended the barriers of fame and status. After the baptism, Stallone remained kneeling for several minutes, his head bowed in prayer. When he finally stood, there was a noticeable change in his demeanor. He looked lighter, freer, as if a great burden had been lifted. He thanked the congregation for their understanding and kindness, emphasizing that his journey was far from over, but that he felt ready to face it with renewed purpose. The story didn't end there. News of the event spread quickly, thanks in part to a few churchgoers who shared their experience on social media. What could have easily turned into a tabloid frenzy was instead met with widespread admiration and respect. Religious leaders from various denominations praised Stallone's courage and humility, noting that his public act of repentance and faith could inspire countless others to reflect on their own lives. In the weeks that followed, Stallone continued attending the church, becoming an active member of its community. He participated in charity drives, helped with youth programs, and even gave a few talks about his journey, emphasizing the importance of resilience, humility, and faith. His actions spoke louder than words, proving that his transformation was genuine. For those who had witnessed that unforgettable day, it wasn't just about a celebrity finding his way back to faith. It was a powerful reminder of the universality of human struggles and the redemptive power of grace. Stallone's story resonated deeply because it showed that no matter how far one strays, it's never too late to return to what truly matters. The church itself saw an increase in attendance in the months following the event. Many newcomers admitted they had been inspired by Stallone's story and wanted to explore their own spiritual paths. The pastor, while grateful for the renewed interest, often reminded the congregation that the true miracle was not the fame of the individual, but the sincerity of his journey. For Stallone, the experience marked the beginning of a new chapter. While he continued to act and produce films, his focus shifted toward projects that aligned with his values. He became a vocal advocate for mental health awareness and addiction recovery, drawing from his own experiences to help others navigate their challenges. Looking back on that day, it's clear why it shocked so many people. Sylvester Stallone, a man often associated with physical strength and unyielding toughness, had revealed a side of himself that was profoundly human and relatable. In doing so, he not only redefined his legacy, but also left an indelible mark on everyone who witnessed his journey of redemption and faith. As Sylvester Stallone's story of faith spread, it didn't merely resonate as a tale of personal redemption. It sparked a dialogue that extended far beyond the confines of that small church, reaching people of different cultures, faiths, and backgrounds. The actor's unexpected vulnerability challenged society's tendency to idolize celebrities while neglecting their humanity. For Stallone, the journey was not about spectacle or performance. It was an intimate reckoning with his soul and a step toward embracing the truths he had long ignored. In the weeks that followed, Stallone began receiving letters and messages from individuals across the world. Fans, critics, and strangers shared their own stories of redemption, struggles, and faith. A mother from Argentina wrote about how her son had overcome addiction after hearing Stallone's testimony. A former soldier in the United States shared how Stallone's public act of humility gave him the courage to confront his post-traumatic stress and seek help. These stories reflected the universality of Stallone's journey, proof that the actor's moment of faith had ignited something far greater than himself. Stallone, deeply touched by this outpouring of emotion, began to engage more actively with those who reached out to him. While he had always valued privacy, particularly concerning his personal struggles, he recognized the responsibility that came with his newfound role as an unexpected beacon of hope for so many. He initiated a series of online discussions, using his platform to talk openly about topics like self-forgiveness, the pursuit of spiritual growth, and the importance of community and healing. These discussions were free from pretension or scripted polish. Stallone's raw sincerity shone through, making him relatable to everyone who tuned in. In one particularly memorable live session, Stallone spoke about his evolving relationship with his family. He admitted that fame had often driven a wedge between him and his loved ones, as the demands of his career consumed his time and energy. However, after his public return to faith, he had taken intentional steps to repair those bonds. "My greatest victories aren't on screen," he shared. "They're in the moments when I can look into the eyes of my children and know I'm doing my best to be present for them." This shift in focus extended to his professional life as well. Stallone began collaborating with filmmakers, writers, and producers to develop projects that emphasize themes of perseverance, forgiveness, and redemption. One of these projects was a film about a former boxing champion who, after losing everything to bad choices, finds hope and renewal in an unexpected friendship with a young pastor. The project, deeply personal for Stallone, became an allegory for his own experiences, blending the grit of his iconic roles with the tender vulnerability of his recent transformation. The film's production process itself became a testament to Stallone's renewed purpose. On set, he fostered an environment of openness and mutual respect, encouraging cast and crew members to share their own stories. It wasn't unusual for someone to break into tears while recounting a personal struggle, only to be met with Stallone's unwavering support and encouragement. His leadership, grounded in empathy, inspired others to see their own potential for growth and change. Meanwhile, the church where Stallone's journey had begun continued to thrive as a hub of spiritual revival. The congregation, now invigorated by a shared sense of purpose, launched several outreach programs to support those in need. These included counseling services for individuals struggling with addiction, mentorship programs for at-risk youth, and food drives for local families. Stallone, though often busy with his professional commitments, remained an active participant in these initiatives. His presence, while inspiring, was never overbearing. He preferred to serve quietly, whether by organizing donations or listening to someone who needed a kind ear. One particular moment from these outreach efforts stood out to many who worked alongside Stallone. During a visit to a rehabilitation center supported by the church, Stallone met a young man named Marcus. Marcus, a former aspiring musician, had fallen into a cycle of substance abuse after losing his mother to cancer. He described feeling hopeless and abandoned, believing he would never escape the grip of his addiction. Stallone, visibly moved by Marcus's story, knelt beside him and said, "I know what it's like to feel like you've hit rock bottom, but I also know that's where the strongest foundations are built. You're stronger than you think, and you're not alone in this." That conversation marked a turning point for Marcus, who later credited Stallone's words as the motivation he needed to pursue recovery seriously. Stories like Marcus's became a recurring theme in Stallone's journey, as his willingness to connect deeply with others created ripples of positive change. As Stallone's renewed faith continued to influence his life, questions arose about how he reconciled his spiritual journey with his career in Hollywood, a world often criticized for its superficiality and moral ambiguity. Stallone addressed these concerns with characteristic candor. He explained that while Hollywood could indeed be a challenging environment, he viewed it as a platform to share meaningful stories and uplift others. "I've spent years playing characters who fight against impossible odds," he said in an interview. "Now I see my own life as a story like that. A story where the hero doesn't have to be perfect, but he keeps getting back up." Stallone also emphasized the importance of surrounding oneself with supportive, grounded individuals. He credited his inner circle, including close friends, family, and his church community, with keeping him accountable and focused on his goals. "No one does this alone," he often reminded his audience. "We're all part of something bigger, and we need each other to thrive." The culmination of Stallone's efforts came during a large-scale event organized by the church to celebrate its anniversary. The event, held in a local stadium, drew thousands of attendees from all walks of life. Stallone was invited to be the keynote speaker, a role he accepted with humility and gratitude. His speech, delivered with the passion and authenticity that had become his trademark, was a powerful reflection on his journey. "I've been blessed with a second chance," Stallone told the crowd, his voice echoing through the stadium. "But it's not just about me. It's about all of us. About recognizing that no matter where we've been or what we've done, there's always a way forward. There's always hope." As he spoke, the crowd erupted into applause, their cheers mingling with tears of joy and reflection. Stallone's words, though simple, carried the weight of lived experience and genuine conviction. They resonated with the audience, reminding them that transformation is possible for anyone willing to embrace it. In the months that followed, Stallone continued to build on this legacy, partnering with organizations that focused on mental health advocacy, addiction recovery, and spiritual growth. His influence extended beyond the confines of his faith, reaching secular audiences who admired his commitment to authenticity and service. Stallone, once seen as merely an action hero, had become a symbol of resilience and hope. What made Stallone's story so compelling was not its dramatic highs and lows, but its unflinching honesty. His journey was not presented as a fairy tale or a neatly packaged redemption arc. It was messy, complicated, and ongoing, just like life itself. By sharing his struggles and triumphs openly, Stallone gave others permission to do the same, fostering a sense of collective healing and empowerment. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Sylvester Stallone's experience inside the church? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.